Chapter 673. The Genesis Bible was a tool to summon heaven, but the Pope couldn't summon the gate of heaven on his own. Yulia, on the other hand, had used up all of her energy and life force. Even the life aura couldn't make up for it. Yulia was just a normal person now. Although her astral palace still existed, she couldn't summon any astral power at all. As soon as the Pope ignited the holy flame, the 12 cardinals' palaces lit up as well. What's going on? Why did the Pope ignite the holy flame all of a sudden? The Pope has ordered the 12 cardinals to summon heaven together. Although the order came out of nowhere, the cardinals still followed it respectfully. Yes, sir. The 14 palaces were actually 14 fortresses. They were also the eyes of a huge circle. The holy light circle relied on these 14 palaces to operate, and the tool to control it was the Pope's scepter. Boom! The Pope held the scepter in his hand, and a beam of light shot into the sky. The entire palace was lit up like a torch. The light lit up and illuminated the world. Ripples of divine radiance spread out in all directions. Then the second palace and the third. The palaces lit up one after another. The astral power of the 12 cardinals connected with the Pope through the holy light circle. Coupled with the holy light array's absorption of the power of the stars, the Pope's power of the stars surged to an unimaginable level. The Pope held the Genesis Bible respectfully and kneeled on the ground. The surging astral power was like a pump that went crazy towards the Genesis Bible. Heaven, listen to the call of your devout believers. Come. Boom. In an instant, the sky was filled with wind and clouds. At this moment, the meteorological stations of countless countries detected the sudden gale. They all looked at the nation of God. The nation of God was very special right now. Any change in this country could affect the hearts of all the countries. The sudden change made the leaders of all the countries uneasy. They all called the nation of God to ask what was going on. Compared to their worries, the citizens of the nation of God were much luckier. They could see everything that was happening in the nation of God. The clouds in the sky suddenly gathered and covered the entire sky. However, the strange thing was that the clouds that covered the entire sky were still pure white clouds instead of dark and oppressive clouds. The clouds were very thick, like cotton candy floating in the sky. All of a sudden, the clouds above the church started churning violently. Golden light seeped out from the gaps in the clouds, sprinkling onto the ground. Amidst the golden light, a majestic and sacred door gradually appeared in the clouds. Oh, my God, one by one, the citizens of the nation of God took out their phones and recorded this unbelievable scene. All of a sudden, the news of heaven appearing in the nation of God spread like wildfire across the world. Many believers of the divine religion went crazy. Some of them even planned to book flights to the nation of God. In just 1 minute, the booking system of most countries was paralyzed. It wasn't just plane tickets. Even train tickets and ship tickets were all single tickets due to the large influx of data. The clouds continued to change. A staircase that seemed to be carved from white jade hung down from the gate of heaven, all the way to the palace of the Pope's palace. The citizens of the nation of God went crazy as well. What is this? Heavenly guidance? Heaven had come to the human world to guide them. As long as they could climb the stairs, they would be able to ascend to heaven. Thousands of years of faith. From the very first moment of faith, the great flat cake, heaven finally appeared in front of the believers. That kind of madness and loss of rationality was indescribable. Countless believers rushed towards the church. If it wasn't for the holy light circle, the knights of the church wouldn't be able to stop the crazy citizens. The gate of heaven is open. Let's go in. The Pope said softly as he panted. Yulia, let me carry you. Wang Lan came to Yulia's side and said. One of them was a girl, while the other was an old woman. Wang Lan thought for a while and decided that he was the most suitable person to carry Yulia. Yulia nodded without any hesitation or politeness, and even climbed onto Wang Lan's back impatiently. She looked at Jiang Xinyu and secretly glared at Wang Lan. Wang Lan was being wronged. Wang Lan didn't have any thoughts about Yulia. In this situation, other than himself, who else could he ask to carry Jiang Xinyu? Moreover, Yulia is an old granny now, okay? The four of them walked up the stairs and arrived in front of the gate of heaven. Previously, when they were looking at the clouds from the ground, the gate of heaven was emitting a divine glow. It was as sacred as it could be. However, when they walked up to it, they realized that the gate of heaven was already full of cracks. Most of the cracks were thicker than Wang Lan's finger. Being able to stand there so firmly was already its last bit of stubbornness. If it wasn't for the fact that they had to enter from the bottom of the gate of heaven, Wang Lan wouldn't have dared to step into heaven. The four of them stepped through the gate of heaven in a single file. The view in front of them suddenly opened up. This was a pure white world. Although there was no sun overhead, the light was very bright. What entered their eyes was a lush grassland. The grassland was decorated with beautiful flowers. "This is heaven?" Wang Lan asked curiously. "This is the Garden of Eden. Behind the Garden of Eden is the real heaven." The four of them walked through the grassland again. Soon, they found a river. The water flowing in the river was so clear that they could see the bottom. The water emitted an inexplicable fragrance with a hint of honey sweetness. "This is holy water, real holy water." The Pope was very excited. He exclaimed as he came to the riverside. He cupped the holy water and drank it. "Wang Lan, look!" Jiang Xinyu suddenly exclaimed. Looking in the direction that Jiang Xinyu was pointing, there was a corpse on the opposite side of the holy river. It was the corpse of an angel. After experiencing countless years, the corpse didn't rot at all. It still looked like it had just died. The corpse was wearing a white divine robe. Its pure white wings covered half of its body. The lower half of its body was almost submerged in the river. The Pope put down the holy water in his hand in horror. He floated to the side of the corpse with Wang Lan. He turned the corpse over and found a huge wound where the heart was. The angel's flesh was white. The blood had long been drained. The angel's corpse made the Pope's excitement disappear. The group walked along the river again. According to the Bible, the holy river flowed from heaven through the Garden of Eden. According to this, heaven could be found by following the holy river. Following the holy river, they soon arrived at the real Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden was also known as the Pure Land. This was the place where the children of God lived. There were angels and mortals, and those who could live here were all pure and kind-hearted people. The Garden of Eden had an extremely developed civilization. The people here were all very intelligent. Although the architectural style was different from that of the people on the surface, Wang Lan could still tell that the huge building complex in front of her required extremely strong construction skills and extremely reasonable planning to achieve such a grand and beautiful combination of grandeur and beauty. It was a shocking scene with just a glance. But now this magnificent city in the sky had been destroyed. It had fallen into complete silence. The four of them stepped into the ruins of the Garden of Eden with heavy hearts. The paleness in the city seemed to be a memorial to the city. The streets of the city were full of cracks. Countless houses had collapsed. Even the few that didn't collapse were on the verge of collapse. On the streets, there were countless skeletons and angels' corpses. Most of these angels were strength angels, while a few were battle angels. It must have been an extremely fierce battle. The Pope sighed. He finally accepted the fact that heaven had turned into hell. Before seeing what heaven looked like, the teachings of the nation of God were not like this. According to the records of the Ragnarok, about 10,000 years ago, holy angel Lucy betrayed heaven and led the demon king to invade heaven. Heaven went through a fierce battle. In the end, the god and the demon king perished together. But after 7 days, the god came back to life. He also resurrected all the angels and people who died in the battle. The Garden of Eden and heaven returned to normal. Resurrection after 7 days was only the wish of the people. After the Ragnarok, there was no more. When Lucy appeared, he said that heaven had been destroyed. Even the eastern heaven, the Olympian gods, and the Norse temples had disappeared. But who in the divine religion would believe that? The God that they had worshipped for thousands of years had fallen 10,000 years ago. Wouldn't the divine religion become a joke? No wonder the Pope didn't mention anything about heaven when he came back. He didn't even allow anyone to ask about heaven. So this is the truth. Suddenly, Wang Lan stopped in his tracks. A slight movement could be heard. Instantly, Wang Lan pushed Jiang Xinyu and the Pope away. A ray of black light shot out from under Wang Lan's feet. It was like a pillar that shot into the sky. Jiang Xinyu flew back dozens of meters before she could stop herself. She took a closer look and realized that it wasn't a pillar. It was a huge centipede that was dozens of feet long. The centipede was black, and its legs were as sharp as scythes. Not only was the centipede huge, it was also very fast. The centipede's body swept past, twisting and dancing in the air like a dragon. Wang Lan was still standing at the same spot with Yulia on his back. The moment the centipede attacked, Wang Lan turned his body incorporeal in time to avoid being swallowed by the centipede. Sky-devouring centipede? Isn't that the legendary demonic beast from the underworld? Sky-devouring demonic beast? Just from the name, I can tell that it's quite powerful. Wang Lan, this is a demonic beast that can kill gods. Be careful. Wang Lan took Yulia from his back and placed her in Jiang Xinyu's hands. Sky-devouring demonic beast, let's see how you're going to devour the heavens. Her figure flashed, and a white light shone like the twinkling stars. When she reappeared, Wang Lan was already wearing the Phoenix Saint robe. Sword of Light slash. The Sword of Light instantly turned into a huge sword that was dozens of meters long. As Wang Lan swung it, it slashed down fiercely. Clang! With a loud sound, the Sword of Light slashed the centipede's hard back. Green blood splattered everywhere. Every drop of blood was terrifyingly corrosive. When it landed on the ground, it gave off a pungent white smoke. Although this sword could injure the sky-devouring centipede, it couldn't kill it. With Wang Lan's current strength, even an Astral Soul Realm cultivator would die on the spot after receiving this slash. After the centipede was injured, it instantly went crazy. It twisted its body, and its body seemed to be stretched by space. It charged at Wang Lan rapidly. Its speed was extremely fast, even faster than supersonic speed. Wang Lan stared at the centipede. Instantly, his eyes widened, and two large windmills spun in his pupils. Divine Might slash. Chapter 674. The power of space rippled out, and in an instant, the huge body of the centipede was cut into several pieces by the power of space and fell from the sky. But even after being cut into several pieces, the centipede did not die. It landed on the ground and wriggled violently like an earthworm. Wang Lan waved his hand, and a red flame rose from his palm. With a fierce flick, the flame turned into several fireballs and landed on the wriggling centipede. The true Samadhi fire burned and engulfed the centipede at an extremely fast speed. After a long time, the centipede finally stopped struggling. Why is the heaven-swallowing centipede in heaven? The Pope came back to his senses and asked in disbelief. This means that heaven has soil for him to live in. The four of them left the broken city and continued to walk along the sacred river. Soon, the four of them arrived at a canyon. In the canyon, there seemed to be an invisible restriction. Wang Lan, who was carrying Yulia, easily stepped into the canyon, but the Pope and Jiang Xinyu seemed to have encountered a ghost. After taking a step into the canyon, they appeared outside the canyon. What's going on? Wang Lan turned around and left the canyon. This is the path to becoming a god. Only a god can walk this path and enter the true heaven. The Pope looked at the white jade road and sighed. We are only mortals. Mortals cannot step on the path to becoming a god. Then how can I walk up? Maybe it has something to do with you carrying Yulia. Since Yulia is sealed in the origin stone, she might be a descendant of a god. Wang Lan put Yulia down and hesitantly reached out to the canyon. He took a light step and easily stepped on the stone floor. Wang Lan looked back at the Pope and gave him a questioning look. The Pope was also dumbfounded. Impossible. This is a path that only a god can walk. How can you walk up so easily? Are you a god? How about this? Xinyu carries Yulia, and I carry the Pope. The four of them split into two groups, and once again set off for the path to heaven. Wang Lan easily stepped on the path to heaven, but the Pope was stopped. On the other side, Jiang Xinyu was also stopped. Wang Lan turned around and looked at the three of them. How about this? I'll go alone. I want to go too. Yulia's aged voice rang out. She looked into Wang Lan's eyes like a little white cat. All right, Supreme Pontiff, XINU. It's best if you two leave first. I can't guarantee that there won't be any other magic beasts like the heaven-devouring centipede here. I don't feel at ease leaving you two outside. Got it. Be careful and protect Yulia. I know. Wang Lan supported Yulia as they walked on the path of God. This path was very long, and along the way, the surroundings were constantly changing. Wang Lan and Yulia saw different scenery. Everyone could only see their own past, memories that they couldn't forget. If these memories were all positive, then they wouldn't be affected. But if the memories were negative, then they would be invaded by heart demons, giving birth to all kinds of negative emotions such as guilt, regret, shame, and so on. Then they would fall into hell. Fortunately, Wang Lan and Yulia's lives were like a blank sheet of paper. Wang Lan was born with the memories of an adult, so he never did anything like a naughty child. Looking at his own past memories, he could calmly accept it. After walking for an unknown distance, the view in front of them suddenly opened up. Heaven appeared in front of them. The architectural style of heaven was almost the same as the city outside. They should be of the same origin, but the degree of damage to heaven far exceeded that of the city outside. There were almost no towering buildings in the broken city. What entered their eyes was only ruins. Angel wings were scattered everywhere on the ground, and most of them were high-level angels. But what attracted Wang Lan's attention the most was the pitch-black cocoon in the sky. The branches of the cocoon were like a spider web densely covering the sky. The huge cocoon in the middle flashed with a red light. Every time the red light flashed, it was as if they could see Lucy's figure inside. It seems that my prediction was correct. Lucy used the sacrifice to complete his rebirth in heaven. If we didn't crack the Bible code, Lucy would directly steal the Kami's opportunity 7 days later and become the new demon god to control the fifth era. Then humanity would really be extinct. What do we do now? Yulia looked at the cocoon above her head and asked. Of course we have to get rid of him before he is born. As soon as his voice fell, the star power around Wang Lan boiled. The battle intent in his eyes condensed into a substance, and the soul slasher instantly fell into his hands. Wang Lan held the sword with both hands, and the bright yang sword aura was poured into the sword of light. The sword aura soared into the clouds, and the terrifying sword aura cut through heaven and earth. Space rippled around the sword edge. Slash. The sword slashed down, and it was earth-shattering. The void was distorted, and the sword aura slashed on the cocoon. Suddenly, a ripple appeared on the cocoon. Wang Lan's lips curled into a sneer. You want to block this sword aura with a ripple? But in the next second, Wang Lan's expression changed drastically. The sword aura collided with the ripple barrier, but the power of the sword aura was not released. The terrifying ripple directly swallowed the power of the sword aura, and the sword aura disappeared in a few breaths. How is this possible? Wang Lan's expression changed drastically. His body rose and rushed toward the cocoon. But when he was about 100 meters away from the cocoon, the space around the cocoon seemed to be distorted into a closed loop. No matter how fast Wang Lan was, it was always in an infinite loop. Impossible. Even if Lucy was not killed, he would not be able to take my sword so calmly. But now, he has not been resurrected, and he can make my all-out attack disappear? Wang Lan did not want to believe it. The flames around him suddenly rose, and a true samadhi fire blasted toward the cocoon. Soon, the cocoon was bathed in the true samadhi fire, but in just a second, the true samadhi fire quickly disappeared and extinguished. This extinguishment was not the extinguishment of burning out, nor was it extinguished. It was as if it had seeped into the cocoon and was swallowed. Impossible. Let's try again. This time, Wang Lan used the Bijadama, which was a combination of many attributes. Since he created this move, Wang Lan had only used it twice. This was no longer a Takashi Hoshi move, but a world-destroying move. A Bijadama could annihilate an entire city in an instant. A bijadama with a diameter of over 100 meters appeared in Wang Lan's hand, and he threw it fiercely toward the cocoon. The moment the bijadama hit the cocoon, it exploded. But in that instant, time seemed to have stopped. The shape of the explosion was fixed in the air, and then as if time was flowing backward, the aftermath of the explosion was quickly absorbed by the cocoon. In that instant, it was as if nothing had happened. Wang Lan landed on the ground with a dignified expression. He and Yulia looked at each other without saying a word. What the hell is this thing? The power of this move is no less than a nuclear bomb. Wang Lan shouted angrily. Suddenly, Wang Lan opened his eyes. His pupils instantly turned red, and two windmills spun violently in his eyes. As they spun, Shunwei's suction force was activated. The space around the demonic cocoon quickly distorted. But in just 3 seconds, Wang Lan's eyes overflowed with blood. The stinging pain made Wang Lan close his eyes involuntarily. The space around the demonic cocoon is actually so sturdy. It's like a steel bar that won't budge. Shunwei's spatial suction was actually stripping the target of the space and then compressing it. It was like flipping open a page of a book, tearing it out, crumpling it into a ball, and throwing it into the trash can. But the space around the demonic cocoon was like a steel bar, and no matter how hard he tried, he could not break it. Is Lucy's resurrection inevitable? Wang Lan covered his eyes and roared unwillingly. There's no such thing in the fate that I've seen. I've only seen bits and pieces of information. Damn it, I don't believe I can't deal with it. Blast it with a nuclear bomb. You have a nuclear bomb? No, but every country has one. Let's go out and inform the United Nations countries about this. Wang Lan had already exhausted all his means. Since he could not deal with the demonic cocoon, he had to think of another way. When they came out of heaven, Jiang Xinyu and the Pope had already returned. Oh no! Wang Lan suddenly slapped his head and shouted, "What's wrong? I forgot about Shun Wei's spatial suction. I could have put the Pope and Xinyu in there and brought them in, but I forgot. It's over. I'll have to kneel on the washboard when I go back." Xinyu didn't remember either, right? Yulia asked, amused. She forgot because she didn't remember. I was wrong because I didn't remember. Forget it. Let's go out first. The two walked out of the gate of heaven. Jiang Xinyu and the Pope were still waiting for Wang Lan on the stairs. When they saw the two coming out, they hurried forward. How is it? What's the situation in heaven? It's a ruin, full of high-level angels' corpses. But a demonic cocoon appeared in the sky above heaven. I think Lucy is inside it. Lucy will be resurrected in 7 days. This? You didn't stop it? I couldn't stop it. My attacks were ineffective against the demonic cocoon. Now I can only come out and see if there's any other way. I have to go back to Jade State and talk to our country's leaders. As he spoke, he pulled Jiang Xinyu's hand and disappeared. After Wang Lan returned to China, he immediately dialed number one's number. An emergency United Nations meeting was immediately arranged. Wang Lan once again went to the Forbidden City. In the dedicated international video conference room, more than 200 countries were densely packed on the screen. Jade State, you said that we humans will face the most severe disaster in history? Wasn't that evil fallen angel already killed? Why are we suddenly hearing about this misfortune? Yes, when I saw that the fallen angel was killed, I was so happy that I opened a bottle of champagne. Leaders of the various countries, I'm General Wang Lan of Jade State. I think many of you should recognize me. Now, I'm going to announce something again. The 5th era will begin in 7 days, and the evil fallen angel has completed his sacrifice. He will be resurrected the moment the 5th era begins, and he will rule the 5th era. Hearing this, many countries' leaders were dumbfounded. However, a few of them who reacted quickly turned pale. The 5th era? You mean the 5th era is about to begin? Our civilization is about to be destroyed? There are 4 eras in human history. Each civilization has a different way of recording history. For example, the divine religion recorded the Golden Era, the Silver Era, the Barbaric Era, and our civilization's Homo sapiens era. In the Eastern records, the Primordial Era, the Prehistoric Era, the Mythological Era, and the Galactic Era. Each era was at least 10,000 years apart. It was so long ago that it could not be recorded. Chapter 675. The arrival of each new era meant the destruction of the old era. Moreover, the destruction was very thorough. If it wasn't completely destroyed, how could the previous 3 eras only exist in myths and legends? The 5th era would begin in 7 days, and there would be a devastating disaster in those 7 days. Wang Lan made it clear that Lucy would be resurrected at the birth of the 5th era. Lucy would be the terminator of the 4th era. Mr. Wang Lan, didn't you kill Lucy? Why would he? As I said, he completed the ritual. He used the 12 zodiac temples to perform the ritual. The purpose of the ritual was to resurrect Lucy in heaven at the birth of the 5th era. This morning, the nation of God successfully summoned heaven, and I was lucky enough to enter. Inside, I saw with my own eyes that Lucy was about to revive. I wanted to destroy the cocoon to stop him from reviving, but my attacks were useless against him. So, I had no choice but to leave and ask for help. I wanted to see if there was any way to stop Lucy from reviving. General Wang Lan, just tell us what you need. As long as we can do it, we will do our best. My attacks didn't work on the cocoon, but I don't know if nuclear bombs will work on it. So, I hope we can use nuclear bombs to attack it. But operating a nuclear bomb is a technical job. I don't know how to do it. That's not a problem. We can provide nuclear bombs and technicians, but transporting them to the destination is a big problem. You just said that the cocoon is in heaven. Transportation is not a problem. I can do it myself, and it's fast. Then, does heaven belong to another dimension? Will our bombs work? That, I can't guarantee it, but I've been to heaven before. It feels different to me. No matter what, we have to try. If we let Lucy resurrect in 7 days and start a new era, then we're really done for. Let's just say we're burning our boats. Regarding this matter, the various countries in the world did not have the time to argue about it. There wasn't much time left for humans. There were only 7 days in total, and these 7 days included the deployment of nuclear bombs, the distribution of operators, and so on. It would take at least 3 to 4 days. The moment the meeting ended, all the countries that had nuclear bombs began to operate at high speed. Of course, the Jade State was the first to deploy the missiles. It only took them 1.5 days to deploy 100 nuclear bombs and the missile troops responsible for controlling them. Wang Lan opened his God's Might space and stored all the nuclear warheads and troops into it. Zhang Xianchao had always stayed in Wang Lan's Shenwei space and knew nothing about the outside world. Wang Lan also seemed to have selectively forgotten her identity and treated Zhang Xianchao as a mascot in the Shenwei space. Zhang Xianchao, who was reading quietly on the lawn, was suddenly woken up by a roar. He looked up and saw a missile vehicle driving into the lawn. Is this a world war? The Divine Might space was not infinitely big, but it was still as big as a city. And everything inside could be created by Wang Lan with his telekinesis. The lawn, the trees, the sea, the beach, including the tall buildings that rose from the ground. On the 3rd day, the nuclear warheads from the nearby countries were also sent over. Then, more troops were stationed in the Divine Might space, and the secret of the Divine Might space was revealed to the public. Don't look at me like that. I've only learned about the Divine Might space not long ago. I know the purpose of this space, but I'm keeping it a secret because I don't want you to think that there's still a way out. The Divine Might space is not an ideal place. There's no way to grow food here, and there's no way to form a complete ecosystem. It can be used as a sanctuary for a short period of time, but if you want it to be the last pure land of mankind, you'll have to face extinction. Naturally, everyone understood the logic, but only they were clear about the specifics of what they were thinking. Time went by without them noticing. Some countries were strong, while others were weak. On the 5th day, Wang Lan felt that he couldn't wait any longer. He teleported to the nation of God. Yulia seemed to be recovering well. Although she still looked old, her astral power had recovered. He didn't know how much power she could use. The gate of heaven was controlled by the nation of God. Although the people were still crazy, after a few days, everyone gradually calmed down. It was still Wang Lan and Yulia. Jiang Xinyu had already entered the Divine Might space. The Pope's lifelong dream was to enter heaven, so he also entered the divine might space. He just wanted to take a look at heaven, even if it was just a glimpse. Wang Lan stepped on the path of God for the second time, but there were no illusions. He easily arrived at heaven. The demonic cocoon in the sky was still hanging high in the sky like last time. It was embedded in the silver-white void. Compared to 5 days ago, the demonic cocoon was bigger this time. The demonic light flashing was also brighter. Wang Lan opened the divine might space, and the time in front of him twisted. Amidst the distortion, missile launchers appeared out of thin air and appeared on the gentle grass of heaven. The soldiers who came out looked around in confusion. The holy white light was like a mist that covered the land. Is this heaven? Look, what is that? Soon, some people noticed the creepy thing above their heads, and they all exclaimed. The demonic cocoon in the sky gave people a very uncomfortable feeling. The intertwining roots of the demonic cocoon were like blood vessels. The ferocious demonic cocoon made people's scalps tingle. They couldn't bear to look at it a second time. The Pope appeared on the ground of heaven and knelt down devoutly. He even kissed the flower-like soil on the ground. God, I've finally arrived in heaven. I've finally arrived in the kingdom of God. Wang Lan looked at the Pope from the corner of his eyes. He looked like an idiot. Everyone, your target is the demonic cocoon above our heads. Blast it with your nuclear bombs. Don't worry about the shock waves. I'll provide you with a protective barrier, Wang Lan ordered as she held Jiang Sinyu's hand. The soldiers of the various countries immediately got to work. They were all in the era of advanced technology and information. The targeting of the missiles was almost automatic. Therefore, the targeting speed was very fast. In less than 10 minutes, the missiles on the vehicles of the Jade State had completed the targeting. Fire! Boom! There was a burst of black smoke, and rockets were ejected from the silo. In an instant, the tail of the rockets spewed out white flames and turned into a meteor that went straight for the demonic cocoon in the sky. The demonic cocoon seemed very close, but it was actually thousands of meters in the sky. 10 missiles were launched, and Wang Lan quickly raised a protective barrier to protect the people below. Boom! Boom! There was an earth-shattering sound, and the entire space shook violently. The dazzling white light engulfed everyone like a flood. The aftermath of the shaking lasted for a few minutes before it gradually subsided. Thick smoke covered the demonic cocoon in the sky. After a few minutes, the demonic cocoon gradually appeared from the smoke. It didn't work. Yulia looked at the demonic cocoon with disappointment. Her face fell. No, look, Wang Lan wasn't pointing at the demonic cocoon, but the dense black blood vessels above their heads. It seemed to be spreading before, but it stopped after this round. Is that so? Why can't I see it? You just didn't notice such a small change. Continue the nuclear attack. More than a dozen nuclear missiles were launched into the sky, and there was another earth-shattering explosion. After waiting for a few more minutes, the changes before and after the nuclear attack became obvious. Although the demonic cocoon wasn't damaged, the tentacles around it were indeed damaged. The demonic cocoon seemed to be absorbing the power of the tentacles to defend against the nuclear attack. The attack is effective. Continue. This was a battle where the fate of mankind was on the line. So the countries weren't stingy and took out almost half of the nuclear missiles in their stockpiles. If it was effective, they didn't even mind taking out all of their stockpiles. Explosions were incessant, and the tentacles in the sky shrank again and again after being bombarded by the nuclear missiles. This shrinkage was visible to the naked eye. Suddenly, Wang Lan felt a sense of danger. Without hesitation, Wang Lan suddenly raised a defensive barrier in the sky. From the intersection of the tentacles in the sky, there was a sudden surge of terrifying energy. One attack after another fell from the sky, bombarding the barrier like raindrops. The demonic cocoon wouldn't wait for death. After taking 7 or 8 missile bombardments, it finally stopped pretending to be dead and chose to resist. Wang Lan, let me help you, Yulia yelled. The Holy Grail and the Bible of creation flew out of the top of her head. Holy power rose from the Holy Grail and the Bible of creation and poured into the enchantment barrier that Wang Lan raised. The barrier turned from transparent to a holy light color in an instant, just like the holy light circle that the nation of God activated. After a round of attacks, the missile troops immediately took the opportunity to fire another round of missiles. Although the attack just now was so sudden that everyone felt like they had just taken a stroll on the line between life and death, it was still not enough. But they were all professional soldiers, and the integrity of a soldier was engraved in their souls. Of course, there would be fear, but even if they were swallowed by fear, their bodies wouldn't be controlled by it. They would still continue to control the nuclear missiles according to their training. Nuclear missiles bombarded the sky one after another. The tug of war between technology and mythical power had officially begun in the pure land of heaven. The leaders of the countries outside were anxiously waiting for the results of the battle in heaven. They could accept the results, but they couldn't accept the suffering of waiting. General Wang Lan, we only have 100 nuclear missiles left. We might lose them tonight. More than half of the demonic cocoon's tentacles were gone. It would probably take another day to destroy the cocoon. But the nuclear missiles they brought weren't enough. Nuclear missiles were powerful attacks that weren't powered by astral power. They were purely based on the laws of physics. The demonic cocoon couldn't absorb the energy that was released. This was the last chance for humanity to win. What do we do? Jiang Xinyu was also panicking. To transport the nuclear missiles, it had to be Wang Lan, but the battle couldn't be stopped for a moment. Wang Lan couldn't leave at all. If they couldn't get the nuclear missiles, all their previous efforts would be for nothing. Xinyu, we can only rely on you this time. Rely on me? I have 2 Kimui Sharingan, but controlling one is enough. I'm going to give you 1 Kimui Sharingan. You help me transport the nuclear missiles. Chapter 676. Give me the Sharingan? How can you give it away? Suddenly, Jiang Xinyu seemed to think of something, and her face suddenly changed, and her eyes widened in horror. Don't. Huh. I will never allow you to hurt yourself. Do you want to dig out your eyes and give them to me? You think too much. Wang Lan was slightly stunned, and suddenly found it funny. When he watched Naruto in the past, taking the eyes really seemed to be digging out the eyes, but that was snatching. If you want to give it to me voluntarily, you just need to give it to me. How can it be so terrible? I'm just giving you my Sharingan. Wang Lan stretched out his hand and raised Jiang Xinyu's chin. Her eyes looked at each other, and there was deep affection in their eyes. Suddenly, the pinwheels in Wang Lan's eyes rotated violently, and the pinwheels in his left eye became faster and faster. But soon the color of the pinwheels became fainter and fainter, and finally turned into a pitch-black eye. Jiang Xinyu's left eye suddenly turned red, and a pinwheel appeared in Jiang Xinyu's pupil. That's it. How complicated do you think it can be? Wang Lan said with a chuckle. You go out now, and I will transport the supplies through you. Kimui space is a completely independent space. No matter where you are, you can put things into Kimui space, and I can immediately take them out from here. Okay, you must be careful. Jiang Xinyu's figure flashed, turned into a stream of light, and disappeared. With Yulia controlling the Holy Grail and the Holy Bible, it was not so difficult to resist the attack of the demon cocoon, and Wang Lan was quite relaxed. Wang Lan didn't need to control the missile vehicles to attack, and Wang Lan was the most leisurely person present. 5 hours later, Wang Lan felt the Kimui space tremble slightly. Wang Lan quickly opened the space, and a rocket launcher appeared in the open space. It seems that Jiang Xinyu has successfully arrived in the outside world and used the power of space to return to the Jade State. Gather all the warriors who have completed their mission. I will send you back. Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu were like the 2 ends of a portal. Entering from Wang Lan's side would allow one to instantly appear from Jiang Xinyu's side. He could also bring out the real-time situation of the battle in heaven. This time, there were even war reporters who came in with the missile troops. This way, the subsequent reinforcements would be guaranteed. The entire world would be able to provide a steady stream of firepower to the battlefield of heaven. Time passed bit by bit. Unknowingly, another day and night had passed. There were less than 20 hours left before the date of the creation Bible. The demonic cocoon above their heads was bombarded continuously by nuclear bombs, leaving only the sky around the demonic cocoon. The demonic cocoon was no longer completely unaffected like before. Every time it was struck, the demonic cocoon would contract slightly, as if it was beating a heart. Target locked. Target locked. Send. Boom. Pillars of smoke shot into the sky, drawing a snake-like trajectory before rushing towards the target demonic cocoon. You bastards! A violent roar suddenly shook heaven and earth. Hearing this furious roar, Wang Lan's face revealed a smile. He was already so angry that he was cursing. If he could make the enemy unhappy, then he would definitely insist on doing it. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, the dozens of nuclear bombs in the sky exploded in the air. They hadn't even hit the demonic cocoon, so why did they suddenly explode? The smoke and dust gradually dissipated, and the demonic cocoon in the sky began to twist violently. It was like a disgusting worm was slowly crawling out of the demonic cocoon. It twisted and protruded into a human figure, gradually squeezing out of the demonic cocoon. Suddenly, a bulge separated from the demonic cocoon broke open. Disgusting mucus splashed out from the bulge, and a white-haired young man's face appeared in the bulge. Thunder Bishop. Yulia's expression changed as she said solemnly, Wang Lan, Saintess. I said before, even if I'm dead, I will still be reborn in heaven. The Thunder Bishop rushed out of the bulge, and 3 pairs of black wings suddenly appeared on his back. He turned into a bird and glided in the sky. All of you go to hell. The Thunder Bishop spread out his hands, and the terrifying power of thunder condensed at his fingertips. In an instant, a huge thunderball appeared in the Thunder Bishop's hands. If he were to hit with this attack, the rocket launcher below would definitely be severely damaged. Wind snare. Wang Lan put her hands together, and a green magic circle appeared in front of her. It shot out fiercely, and a terrifying wind net cut was formed. The wind attribute could restrain the thunder attribute, especially the wind blade cutting attribute, which could separate the thunder attribute star power from each other. The Thunder Bishop above her obviously didn't expect Wang Lan to play such a move and was instantly cut by the wind snare. The thunder in her hands instantly collapsed and disappeared after being disturbed by the wind net. However, the Thunder Bishop's fallen angel body was very strong, and after taking the wind snare, he only flew backward. Wang Lan's figure flashed, and the white holy robe was already on her body. She rushed in front of the Thunder Bishop with the Zanpakuto in her hand and slashed down. Wang Lan. A long sword appeared in the Thunder Bishop's hand, and he clashed with Wang Lan. Clank! However, Wang Lan's body brushed past the Thunder Bishop's body, and the moment their bodies separated, she immediately materialized and slashed behind her. Clank! The Zanpakuto shattered, and also left a deep wound on the Thunder Bishop's back. You! The Thunder Bishop shouted in shock and anger, and his figure instantly flashed and retreated. After becoming a 6-winged angel, in theory, his strength was already superior to anyone in this world, but he didn't expect to be defeated by Wang Lan in just one move. The Thunder Bishop was the type of person who had a huge body but didn't have a heart to support this body. She gave her soul to Lucy and was resurrected with Lucy. She obtained the body of a fallen angel, but she didn't have the power of a fallen angel. However, the recovery ability of a fallen angel's body was indeed crazy, and she recovered very quickly after taking a hit from Wang Lan. You deserve to die. The Thunder Bishop turned into a stream of light and rage, and a punch with the power of thunder blasted towards Wang Lan. The terrifying fist passed through Wang Lan's body, and the wind from the fist whistled and set off a hurricane, and the green grass of heaven was instantly blown away by the terrifying wind from the fist. Bankai, Judgment of Light. The moment he brushed past the Thunder Bishop, a bright light shone from behind the Thunder Bishop, and a terrifying heavenly sword slammed into the Thunder Bishop's back like Mount Tai. The Thunder Bishop fell from the sky, and with a loud bang, a huge pit appeared on the ground, and the Thunder Bishop was smashed into the bottom of the pit with his body spread out. Fallen angel? TSK. Wang Lan spat in disdain and raised both of his hands. Fused star power instantly gathered, and a bright red Bijadama formed in Wang Lan's palm, which instantly turned into a meteor and bombarded down. Boom! The second bombardment was even more terrifying, and the ground was no longer as simple as just cracking, but exploding, and the huge pit was pushed to both sides by a pair of giant hands. The ground was overturned, and the pit was more than 100 meters deep. Gah! The Thunder Bishop, who was lying at the bottom of the pit, spat out a mouthful of black blood. If the previous slash from Wang Lan had only scratched the surface, then this bombardment from Wang Lan had directly crippled the Thunder Bishop. However, the Thunder Bishop was still not dead, which made Wang Lan, who was floating in the sky, frown slightly. The Bijadama bombardment was already the strongest attack that Wang Lan could perform, and the Thunder Bishop had not been annihilated by it at all. He was not even killed. To an absolute powerhouse, the loss of strength from an injury was actually not that big. Take Wang Lan, for example. Either he was killed directly, or his combat power would always be at its peak. It was not far from the terrifying recovery of a fallen angel. Not to mention that he could do it again if the first time did not work. He could do it again. This time, he was able to succeed completely because he had caught the Thunder Bishop off guard. Once the Thunder Bishop figured out the details and grasped the rhythm, it would be difficult to even save his own life, let alone defeat him. Without any hesitation, Wang Lan's figure turned into a stream of light and rushed to the ground. At this moment, the Thunder Bishop was about to stand up. As soon as he sat up, a sharp aura came from the sky. The Thunder Bishop slowly raised his head, and Wang Lan's figure instantly turned into a light and slammed into him. Poochie! The sound of flesh being pierced sounded. The Thunder Bishop opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. The Zanpakuto stabbed into the Thunder Bishop's chest and pinned the Thunder Bishop to the ground. This should be enough to kill you, right? Wang Lan resisted the Zanpakuto and shouted with a dignified look. Huh! Suddenly, the Thunder Bishop reached out and grabbed Wang Lan's wrist. Got you! Boom! With a punch, Wang Lan instantly soared into the sky. The Zanpakuto in his hand flew out, and his figure was thrown high into the sky. Wang Lan! Yulia was shocked and hurriedly shouted. Wang Lan's figure froze, and light flashed around his body. The deformed cheeks quickly recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye, and gently flicked out a few drops of blood. Wang Lan's face became even more dignified. If he couldn't defeat him in one go, it would be a tough battle later. Wang Lan raised his head and looked at the demon cocoon. The demon cocoon was already struggling under the bombardment of the nuclear bomb, but the last bit had no effect at all. In the pit, a powerful and terrifying aura suddenly burst out, and black flames wrapped around the Thunder Bishop's body. The Thunder Bishop slowly rose into the sky, and the injuries on his body were rapidly healing. As expected of the guy who could fight with Master, he almost lost in the gutter. However, in the face of absolute strength, all schemes and tricks are futile. My current strength is stronger than any time after Master unlocked the seal. In an instant, the Thunder Bishop's body emitted terrifying lightning. The lightning was black, and it seemed to weave a huge black net in the sky. Slash! Countless lightning bolts bombarded Wang Lan. How fast was lightning? It was so fast that Wang Lan didn't even have time to dodge, and the Gate of Darkness took it on with the ability to turn into nothingness. However, the endless lightning bolts kept bombarding Wang Lan's body, and Wang Lan was engulfed in the lightning, as if he was wrapped in a black lightning cocoon. Wang Lan! Yulia exclaimed again. She gritted her teeth and controlled the Genesis Bible to release a divine light. The divine light was like a sharp blade, and it split open the lightning cocoon, allowing Wang Lan to escape from the lightning. The ability to turn into nothingness only lasted for 5 minutes, and if he couldn't escape after 5 minutes, he would have to take this terrifying attack. Wang Lan had attacked the Thunder Bishop so many times, and the Thunder Bishop was fine, but if he took one attack from the Thunder Bishop, he might die. Chapter 677. Yulia spat out a mouthful of blood. Wanglon instantly came to Yulia's side and asked worriedly, "Yulia, how are you?" "It's not a big problem. The main problem is that my body is too weak." "Wanglon, he's a fallen angel, and his level is higher than yours. You won't be his match in a normal battle." "I know that." Wanglon looked at the lightning bishop who was condensing in the air above his head and said solemnly, "But I've already used the skill that Goddess Hutu gave me. I can't even beat this six-winged fallen angel without sky-splitting slash, let alone Lucy." Fallen angels are fallen beings who have converted light into darkness. The more light there was, the more darkness there is now. Although this power is strong, it has a fatal flaw. What? Only pure light can restrain pure dark power. As long as you suppress the darkness in terms of pure level, his dark power can be defeated no matter how strong it is. You mean to say that only a drop of ink is needed to dye a cup of water black? Yes, to destroy his dark power, you only need a bit of pure light. Where's the pure light? I'm here. A faint smile appeared on Yulia's face, and she slowly closed her eyes. Suddenly, a hazy light rose from her body. The Holy Grail and Creation Bible above her head also released light at the same time. Their light was much brighter and purer than Yulia's. Yulia slowly reached out her hand and tapped on Wanglan's forehead. A bit of light appeared on Yulia's fingertip. In an instant, the light entered Wanglan's mind. "What are you doing? Die, all of you!" A roar came from the sky, and a bolt of black lightning struck from the sky. Wanglan pushed Yulia away, and her figure instantly transformed into a colorful butterfly that fluttered about. The colorful butterfly flapped its wings and flashed continuously. In the blink of an eye, it appeared beside the lightning bishop and turned into several afterimages. At the same time, a brand new Takashi Hoshi skill appeared in Wanglan's mind, the divine radiance of light. Although this Takashi Hoshi skill was only gold tier, it was the purest divine radiance of light in the world. For afterimages slashed towards the Bishop of Thunder at the same time. The Bishop of Thunder extended his hand coldly and set up a black crystal barrier around himself. The Zanpakudo slammed on the barrier, and the blade instantly shattered. The Bishop of Thunder curled his lips into a cold smile. But in an instant, Wanglan reached out with his left hand. A gray ball of air appeared in Wanglan's palm, and he pressed it against the barrier. Annihilation. Crack. Boom. With a loud bang, the barrier was instantly broken. The Thunder Bishop's expression froze. Although he knew that Wanglan was very strong, he did not expect Wanglan to be able to launch such a terrifying attack in close combat. How could a palm-sized energy ball destroy his barrier? Then what would happen if it hit his body? Wanglan did think of this, but Annihilation was not a diffuse attack. Only the places touched by Annihilation would disappear, but the damage would not spread. For an expert like him, so what if there was a palm-sized wound on his chest? It would still recover instantly. The moment the barrier was broken, Wanglan's sword of light, which contained extreme bright yang sword chi, shot out and stabbed into the Bishop of Thunder's chest. Blood flowed from the wound. The Bishop of Thunder looked at Wanglan coldly, with murderous eyes. This was the second time. The second time he was injured by Wanglan. As a six-winged, fallen angel, he had the body of a god. How could he be injured by a mortal twice? Unforgivable! The Bishop of Thunder roared. His cold face was distorted with anger. He raised his hand, and the space was instantly imprisoned. If this slap were to land, even a mountain would be annihilated in an instant. Go to hell, crack! The palm froze in the air. The Bishop of Thunder looked at Wanglan in shock. His eyeballs suddenly protruded, and his eyes were bloodshot. What did you do? What did you hit in my body? Divine light, pure divine light. Spots of light suddenly appeared on the Bishop of Thunder's body. Under the erosion of the divine light, the dark power in the Bishop of Thunder's body was quickly converted into light. The power of light was the strongest poison in the world to fallen angels. In a short period of time, The light power in the Bishop of Thunder's body completely suppressed the dark power. Pillars of light emerged from the spots on the Bishop of Thunder's body, turning into countless light particles that danced in the air. At this moment, the Bishop of Thunder was like a bag with holes everywhere. He looked at Wang Lan in disbelief. Finally, he let out an indignant roar and exploded. The fragments that exploded were assimilated by the light and turned into particles that were annihilated. The Bishop of Thunder was killed. Wang Lan exhaled softly. Although he tried his best to avoid affecting the rocket troop during the battle with the Bishop of Thunder, the impact was still there. After the dust settled, the rocket troop immediately arranged for 10 times the firepower to bombard again. Aim complete. Fire. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Dozens of rockets carrying nuclear bombs soared into the sky. The smoke from the rockets also covered their eyes. Suddenly, a heartbeat came from the sky. The heartbeat was so intense that it was as if everyone was in a person's stomach and the heart was hanging above everyone's heads. Dong, 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 boom, boom, boom. The nuclear bombs exploded one after another. However, the terrifying sound of the nuclear bombs exploding could not cover the heartbeat. The heartbeat seemed to be ringing in everyone's ears. The radiation from the nuclear bombs wreaked havoc. The entire heaven turned into a red purgatory. The white light dissipated and the terrifying air waves gradually subsided. Wang Lan immediately looked up at the sky. In the sky, the strange heartbeat came from the demon cocoon above his head. The demon cocoon was still beating slightly like a heart. Wang Lan's face became darker and darker. Yulia's face turned as white as a sheet. What time is it now? Just past midnight. Wang Lan took a deep breath. Retreat. Everyone retreat. We have failed. Lu Shi has successfully descended into the world. No, General. We can still fight. We have not lost yet. Retreat. Wang Lan roared. His eyes suddenly opened. In his right eye, a windmill danced quickly. It sucked everyone in the space in front of him into the divine space. Dong, dong, dong. The heartbeat continued. Suddenly, the demon cocoon in the sky exploded like a bomb. Countless mucus splashed out. In the sky, a figure appeared. The moment the figure appeared, the sky darkened. There were no dark clouds in the sky, but it was as if dark clouds covered the sun. The god of the sky, Lu Shi, seemed to be intoxicated in his current state. It was the state of being reborn. He had surpassed his peak state. But from Wang Lan's point of view, a naked man with his head raised to reveal such an intoxicated expression looked like a pervert no matter how she looked at it. The smell of heaven, so nostalgic. 10,000 years, 10,000 years. I'm finally back. Lu Shi looked up at the sky and muttered to himself. His voice swept across the sky like a breeze. Whoosh, with a soft sound, a pair of beautiful black wings appeared behind Lu Shi's back. They were dozens of meters long, and Lu Shi looked like a black butterfly floating in the sky. I have returned as a god. From this moment on, I am the master of heaven, the only god in the world. You haven't even started drinking. How are you so drunk? An ear-piercing voice entered Lu Shi's ears. Lu Shi frowned and lowered his head to see the old Yulia and Wang Lan, who was wearing a silver saint robe. Lu Shi frowned. Why is it you two again? This question was very intelligent. Every time Lu Shi failed, it was because of the two of them. It was as if the two of them were Lu Shi's nemesis. Lu Shi slowly descended from the sky. Under the terrifying pressure, the ground cracked. Uffed, Yulia spat out a mouthful of blood. Her golden blood splattered onto Wang Lan's saint robe. Wang Lan wasn't having a good time either. His saint robe creaked as cracks appeared on it. Lu Shi hadn't attacked yet. Just the pressure he emitted was enough to make the two unable to move. Bang! With a loud bang, Wang Lan's saint robe shattered. Each piece was the size of a fingernail. Wah! A mouthful of blood shot up from his mouth and nose. This pressure was beyond the imagination of ordinary people. It was like gravity was several hundred times stronger. Wang Lan's body withered, and he collapsed to the ground, unable to move. How strange. You two are as weak as ants, but your lives are harder than cockroaches. Now that I have become a god, A new era is about to begin. As survivors of the old days, what means do you have to struggle at death's door? Suddenly, a fragrant wind blew past Wang Lan's nose. Wang Lan raised her head with difficulty and opened her eyes with great effort. A long robe appeared in front of Wang Lan. It was a woman with golden curly hair. Although the woman only left Wang Lan with her back, she gave Wang Lan a very familiar feeling. Gaia? Lu Shi sighed and bowed respectfully to Gaia. You don't have to bow to me. I can't accept it. You are the mother of earth and the mother of gods. You have a high status. You can accept this bow. Goddess Gaia, are you here to fight me? I'm here to see the return of the gods. Gaia smiled faintly. Ha ha ha. Good, great. As the saying goes, a wise man submits to circumstances. Mortals are too ignorant. They will always fight against the power of gods because of some empty belief. However, they know nothing about the power of gods. They think that with some belief or will, they can fight against gods. It's simply, Lu Shi, don't think too highly of yourself. The god I'm talking about is not you. Lu Shi's voice instantly stopped, and his face turned extremely ugly. Not me? Who else could it be? I've already cracked the Bible's code. Today, the gods will descend from heaven, and I have already confirmed this prophecy. You descended too early. Gaia smiled faintly. It's only midnight. Dang! A loud bell rang. The Holy Grail floating above Yulia's head suddenly let out a loud sound. Dang! Following the sound of the bell, the darkness in the sky split open. Light shone down from the crack in the sky, and countless clouds danced in the void. Heaven's holy bell? The Holy Grail is heaven's holy bell? Chapter 678. Lucy's expression finally turned to one of terror. He looked around in a daze, as if he was looking for traces of the god. The holy bell rang, and the god returned. He had already stolen the opportunity for the god to return, so why would the god return? Lucy could not figure it out, nor did he dare to believe it. Suddenly, a holy light lit up beside Wang Lan, as if a torch had been lit. Yulia bathed in holy light and slowly stood up. The wrinkled skin on her face fell off piece by piece, like an eggshell being peeled off, revealing her supple skin. Yulia slowly walked out of the holy light. The holy light suddenly condensed into a golden scepter in Yulia's hand. Yulia came to Wang Lan's side. Under the ripples of Yulia's divine aura, the pressure on Wang Lan instantly disappeared. Wang Lan stood up in a daze, looking at the familiar yet unfamiliar Yulia beside him. You are Yulia? Congratulations to the god for completing the 10,000-year reincarnation and returning. Gaia bowed slightly and smiled warmly. This is all thanks to Mother Goddess and Hutu. Yulia's voice was ethereal and holy, as crisp as a wind chime. Wang Lan, I'm both a heavenly deity and Yulia. Finally, I can fight by your side. Yulia slowly stretched out her hand and clenched her fist beside Wang Lan. Wang Lan was slightly stunned, but he suddenly revealed a sunny smile. We can fight together again. His fist and Yulia's fist clashed. Instantly, Wang Lan's body surged with holy light. This was the power of a god, the holy light that only a god could possess. Suddenly, a huge power rose around Wang Lan, as if countless stars were dancing around Wang Lan. Upon closer inspection, those stars were actually fragments of the holy robe. Every fragment of the holy robe flashed with holy light. In an instant, the stars rose and surrounded Wang Lan's body. Seeing this, even Gaia and Yulia were shocked. Such pure holy light? Such a powerful, godly power? Could it be that Wang Lan was also the reincarnation of a god? No, definitely not. The power of the divine light did not come from Wang Lan. The power of the god came from the star jades around Wang Lan's body. However, what exactly was this star jade? The gods didn't know, and neither did Gaia, who had been silently observing the land. Suddenly, the star jades converged above Wang Lan's head, transforming into a gorgeous silver-white phoenix. Phoenix raised her head proudly, her eyes sharp and spirited. Raising a sharp claw, each toe was like a dagger. The majestic posture of spreading its wings, the gorgeous feathers of the phoenix, and the colorful tail of the phoenix. His body was covered with colorful, sacred inscriptions. The phoenix saint robe originated from bronze. Although it was reborn from fire, it was still a bronze saint robe. Even if he obtained the special metal and leveled up, it would only increase the level of the phoenix saint robe. It would not increase its grade. However, once the 88 saint garments were stained with God's blood and received God's blessing, the saint garments would have a chance to evolve into holy garments. The phoenix saint robe was awakened the moment Yulia became a god. In an instant, the saint robe disintegrated and covered Wang Lan's body. The saint robe not only provided Wang Lan with defense, but also with amplification. However, before this, the amplification provided by the saint robe to Wang Lan was negligible. This world did not have the power of a small universe, but it had the power of a god. When the phoenix saint robe met with God's blood and activated the power of the saint robe, it gave Wang Lan the power to fight against a god. Above her head, Lucy's expression became extremely ugly. Not only was it ugly, it could even be said that his face was ashen. 10,000 years of scheming, 10,000 years of waiting. I endured 10,000 years of torture from you. In the end, you actually revived. Go to hell. The wings behind Lucy's back fluttered, and he instantly appeared in front of Yulia. The black sword in his hand slashed through the void. Dang! A golden shield appeared in Yulia's hand at some point. It blocked Lucy's angry sword. In an instant, the two figures disappeared. The sky of heaven shattered. This was caused by the intense battle between Yulia and Lucy. The holy bell of heaven kept ringing. The Genesis Bible turned into a divine shield, and the divine scepter turned into a golden sword. Lucy and Yulia's power had reached the level of Tao, and the power of a god rippled freely. At this level, the battle tended to return to its original state. Any fancy moves were useless, and the only thing that mattered was the control of the laws and the use of the laws. Wang Lan took a while to familiarize himself with the use of the divine power. He raised his head, and his eyes shone with holy light. With a gentle wave of his hand, the Zanpakudo appeared in his hand. Although your blade is special, the weapon level doesn't seem to be enough to fight against a 32-winged fallen angel. Gaia's voice entered his ears. Wang Lan turned his head slightly. Gaia gently waved her hand, and a silver-white spear appeared in her hand. Then, the spear quickly shortened, and in the blink of an eye, it turned into a sword. This is the Godslayer transformed from the Godslayer's spear. I'll lend it to you for a while. Help the divine god kill Lucy and create a new era for mankind. Wang Lan solemnly took the Godslayer, and a terrifying divine power entered Wang Lan's body from the hilt. An unprecedented power surged in Wang Lan's body. Wang Lan raised his head, and in an instant, heaven shook, and he disappeared. In the void, Yulia and Lucy's battle had entered the Canyon of Time. This was the space between the breakpoints of the laws of time. In this space, time would be suspended indefinitely. This was also a space that mortals could never reach. As Wang Lan rose into the air, the surrounding space rippled, and the world around him became quieter. Suddenly, Wang Lan felt like he had passed through a thin film, and a feeling of enlightenment hit him. After passing through the boundary of time, he arrived at the Canyon of Time. In the Canyon of Time, Yulia and Lucy were fighting back and forth. Although Yulia had awakened the divine power and divinity of a divine god, she was still a newborn divine god. As for Lucy, he was once the war god of heaven. In addition to this rebirth, he had broken through the limit of a 24-winged divine angel and turned into a 32-winged fallen angel. Whether it was strength or battle experience, he seemed to suppress Yulia. Wang Lan's appearance caused Lucy and Yulia to be slightly stunned. Neither of them thought that a mortal could enter the Canyon of Time so easily and reach the realm of God. But in an instant, the two of them regained consciousness, and Lucy's face revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. Great, this is really great. You actually made it here. You actually came to die. Originally, I thought that killing a mortal like you with the power of a divine god wouldn't give me any sense of accomplishment, but if I didn't kill you, I would feel sad. You came just in time." As he spoke, Lucy's figure instantly transformed into a stream of light and appeared in front of Wang Lan, stabbing at Wang Lan with his sword. Wang Lan raised the Godslayer and lightly blocked Lucy's attack. This exchange of blows caused an expression of disbelief to appear on Lucy's face. "How did you?" Wang Lan turned around and stabbed his sword fiercely into Lucy's chest. Puffed. Blood splattered as Wang Lan's Godslayer pierced a foot in. "How is this possible? How can you have such divine power? In the Canyon of Time, how can you still be so fast?" In the Canyon of Time, time was suspended. Almost every action of a divine god was an action that surpassed time. In the Canyon of Time, even a divine god would be suppressed. Before, Lucy and Yulia had fought like ordinary people with swords. It wasn't that the stronger they were, the worse their skills were. Their movements in the air were absolutely different from their movements in the water. Similarly, in the Canyon of Time, they were obstructed so that they could only move like that. Given Lucy and Yulia's level, they were still obstructed by such a powerful force. In Lucy's opinion, Wang Lan's level was simply too low to move. But not only could Wang Lan move, his speed was even faster than Lucy had imagined. Not only did he easily parry the incoming sword, but he also thrust his sword back and stabbed it directly into Lucy's chest. At this moment, the Godslayer's power erupted. The terrifying power of laws rippled from the Godslayer and froze Lucy in the air. How could Yulia let go of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? She immediately threw out the shield in her hand. The shield rose into the air and transformed into the Genesis Bible. Divine art of revelation. Destruction of chaos. In an instant, the four powers of creation surged out from the Genesis Bible. Earth, water, fire, wind. Four elemental origins that evolved from chaos appeared above Lucy's head. While Lucy was resisting the corrosion of the Godslayer's power, he ferociously raised his head to look at the four elemental origins that were rapidly coalescing. His expression was ferocious and terrifying. His round eyes were filled with fear. No, the power of chaos descended from the sky and violently bombarded Lucy's chest. Lucy's body trembled violently as the terrifying power of chaos exploded within his body. The veins on Lucy's forehead bulged. He raised his head with difficulty and looked at the heavenly God with a pleading look in his eyes. "Heavenly God, can I ask you one last question?" "No," Yulia said calmly. Lucy's face paled when he heard the answer. He struggled to squeeze out a smile of relief. "The demon god has found a way to return. He'll be back soon. Prepare early." Boom! A burst of fireworks exploded in front of his eyes. Lucy's body instantly exploded into a cloud of green chaos. Resolve the crisis of the human race's extinction. Slain the god tier, fallen angel Lucy. Assist the new heavenly god in descending and start the new fifth era. Reward: 200 million experience points, 30 million skill points. In his mind, this message rang out the moment Lucy exploded and died. Hearing this, Wang Lan felt much better. This time, Lucy should have completely received his bento box. But in the next moment, Wang Lan was stunned. "Wait, how much? How much?" Boom! In an instant, the experience bar in the system was filled. A clear wave of astral power rose. Wang Lan's Takashi Hoshi leveled up from Star C level 8 to Star C level 9. Then, the experience bar was once again pushed to the maximum level. But this time, Wang Lan did not level up. Wang Lan was stunned. He quickly sank into his spiritual sea. The experience bar was indeed full, but it was as if the system was stuck and did not move. There was no button to level up, nor was there any error message. It was stuck at Star C level 9, not moving at all. Following Wang Lan's breakthrough, Yulia looked at Wang Lan in surprise. If not for Wang Lan's breakthrough, she would not dare to believe that the guy in front of her, who had the power of a god and made Lucy receive his bento box in one move, was only at the late stage of Star C level. He had only reached the peak of star sea level now. Chapter 679. No matter how long he stayed in the time canyon, it was only an instant in the outside world. After dealing with Lucy, Wang Lan and Yulia returned to heaven side by side. Heaven's holy bell was still ringing, and a figure had appeared beside Gaia. The moment Wang Lan appeared, he immediately appeared beside Jiang Xinyu. Xinyu, when did you come? The moment you rushed up, I was already here. How was it? Did you win? I won. Gaia smiled faintly and said softly, since God has returned safely, my mission is also over. Hearing Gaia's melancholy words, Wang Lan was slightly stunned. Gaia nodded slightly at Kami, and his body suddenly turned into light particles and slowly dissipated. Mother Earth Gaia, after fusing with the Earth, only a remnant soul is left. She has been silently protecting the Earth and guiding my return. The dream that the previous Pope had 20 years ago was Gaia's guidance. However, the remnant soul cannot stay in the world for too long. After completing her mission, Gaia will return to chaos. Even as a god, you can't save Gaia. Her return is decided by the heavens. Even if we are gods, we cannot go against the will of the heavens. Yulia slowly waved her hand, and the holy bell flew back into her hand. Yulia gently shook the holy bell. With a dang sound, the sound of the bell rippled, and heaven suddenly shook violently. The potholes on the ground were quickly filled up. The collapsed buildings quickly flew up and returned to their original state. Stone pillars rose from the ground. Under the support of Yulia's divine power, the ruins of heaven seemed to have returned to their original state as if time was flowing backwards. After Yulia finished all this, Wang Lan stepped forward. Yulia, now that the matter is over, can we go? Wait for me. Let's go together. Together? You're not going to stay in heaven? Jiang Xinyu asked curiously. Immediately, Yulia looked at the two of them playfully. I'm the only one in heaven. Can you bear to leave me alone? Alone? You are a god now. Gods can be bored and lonely too. Wang Lan looked around. Indeed, Yulia was the only one in this huge heaven. Even a god wouldn't be able to stand it. Coming out of heaven, the Pope and the leaders of various countries had been looking forward to it for a long time. The Bible prophesied that the fifth era would begin had arrived. Whether the world would be destroyed or reborn would depend on the outcome of this event. According to the information obtained from the retreating soldiers, the situation seemed to be very bad. As the bells of heaven rang out, the gate of heaven emitted a dazzling divine light. Then, everyone gathered at the bottom of the sky stairwell and looked up at the gate of heaven. When Wang Lan and the other two walked out of the gate of heaven, the world was so quiet. After a long time, intense cheers erupted. Everyone had released the emotions that they had been suppressing in their hearts. The more pain he had suppressed in the past, the more intense it was now. Even the leader of a country could not help but howl madly at the sky. It was Wang Lan who walked out of the gate of heaven, which meant that they had defeated the evil. They had won. It didn't matter how they won. It didn't matter how they turned the tables. The most important thing was that they had won. Today was a day of celebration for the whole world. Today was the most glorious day in the history of the nation of God. After the banquet, the Pope and the cardinals of the nation of God knelt in front of Yulia. Yulia held the scepter in her hand and sat on the throne gracefully, accepting the worship of the Pope and the cardinals. God, I will ask the editorial department to draft a report immediately. Tomorrow's morning news will be announced to all believers in the world. The Pope said excitedly after bowing. The God had descended. Among the 5 major religions, only the God of the divine religion had been born. A real God, a living God. Although this God was very different from the image they worshiped day and night. But was this important? Not at all. Wasn't it just a matter of changing a statue? As long as this was announced tomorrow, the nation of God would be above any other country in the world. The nation of God would become a true holy country. It would be the center of everyone's heart. No, Yulia suddenly rejected the Pope's suggestion. I can't let the believers know about my existence. Why? The Pope and the cardinals' faces changed. They looked at Yulia in disbelief. Humans no longer need a god to lead them. In the past, humans needed a god because they couldn't survive on their own. But now, humans have embarked on the path of a technological civilization. Although their future is bumpy, they will continue to strive for self-improvement. Since I am only the spiritual belief of humans, then let's just maintain the status quo. Those who truly believe in me will not waver just because I don't exist. As for those who believe in me because of my existence, I don't need them either. Yes, we will follow the God's teachings. But heaven has already appeared in front of the world. How do you explain this? It doesn't matter if it's a mirage or a holy light image from the nation of God. Plus, heaven is too empty right now. I don't want to stay there for the time being. I will stay in the saintess palace as the saintess of the nation of God. Yes. After returning from the palace, Yulia returned to the saintess palace. It was both familiar and unfamiliar. It's only been a few days. Why do I feel so empty? Yulia tilted her head and thought for a while before realizing. So it's not because I'm alone. It's because the person I miss isn't by my side. I didn't think the saintess palace was empty before because I didn't miss anyone. So human emotions are so complicated and delicate. Jade State, Sioux City. Wang Lan lay on the bed with her arms and legs spread out, speechless. Jiang Xinyu extended a slender finger and teasingly placed it on Wang Lan's chin. Show off. Show off again. Even after evolving into a god, you didn't change for long. I'm just tired from the continuous battles. Let me rest for 2 days, and I'll make sure you call me daddy. Also, I didn't evolve into a god. I'm just an ordinary human. The most ordinary kind. Yulia said you become a god. It's a very special state. First of all, my holy garment has evolved into a holy garment. My divinity doesn't come from me. It comes from the holy garment. Secondly, I'm holding the god-killing spear that great god Gaia gave me. I'm just an ordinary human with a full set of god-tier equipment. Actually, my combat power hasn't increased by much. It's about the same as before. You think I'll believe you? At that time, Yulia hadn't become a god yet. Only the two of you could pass the god's path. The Pope and I couldn't. That might be an accident. I say, Xinyu, can you come down? Do you really want to squeeze me dry? I really want to see what a man looks like after being squeezed dry. Try to prove that there's no such thing as a woman who doesn't know how to pretend. He always thought that Jiang Xinyu was very reserved in this aspect. Now, it seemed that after so many years, she had finally taken off her disguise. No more pretending. It's time to lay all the cards on the table. A week passed by without them noticing. The two of them were like all young couples in love. They happily spent every day together. The days passed by quietly. Suddenly, a phone call broke the peaceful life of Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu. Jiang Xinyu snatched the phone and glanced at it. She frowned slightly. The caller ID showed that it was CEO Jean. Wang Lan took the phone and answered. Wang Lan, did I interrupt your date? CEO Jean seemed to say this every time he called. Not only Wang Lan, but even Jiang Xinyu raised her eyebrows in annoyance. No. Is there a mission? It's not a mission. I just want to tell you that we found a way to open the Tianji lock. What Tianji lock? Don't tell me you've forgotten? The Tianji lock in Zhangjiajia, Huzhou province. With that, Wang Lan instantly remembered. Lu Shi's reappearance had Wang Lan on edge, especially since the Huzhou province incident had been resolved. She had forgotten about the heavenly secret lock. Has it been opened? It hasn't been opened yet. We just found a way to open it. We'll open it tomorrow morning. So, I called to inform you. Do you want to come over tomorrow to take a look? Come. That's the secret left behind by the legendary immortals who ascended. Of course, I'm interested. Actually, in her heart, Wang Lan wasn't that interested. Now that he had met a real god, this spirit fairy Zhang seemed to pale in comparison. This was even more so after knowing that the so-called ascension was only to the extraterrestrial cultivation world. After Yulia became a god, her strength was indisputable. If the demons dared to invade again, they would all die. But for Yulia to travel through the stars, she would have to fly hundreds or thousands of years. Moreover, the Milky Way was now a sealing array. Yulia could not fly out of the Milky Way. How did the ancient gods get to the Magellan Galaxy? This was something that Yulia had no idea about. The gods were born later, far behind the Eastern Heavenly Court. The Eastern Heavenly Court that the gods were familiar with was also different from the ancient Heavenly Court. How did the Earth Star realm appear in the Magellan Galaxy? This might be an eternal mystery. The next morning, Wang Lan pulled Jiang Xinyu and teleported to Hu Province. Then, they flew to Zhangjiajie. During this time, Zhangjiajie had been in a state of lockdown. It had not been for a day or two, but for a few months. The media wanted to find out what had happened in Zhangjiajie. But as soon as they did, they were interviewed by the relevant departments. This made Zhangjiajie more and more mysterious. There were even rumors of an alien base. There were even rumors in the underworld that Zhang Lingxian's dojo was in Zhangjiajie and that the country was doing its best to excavate it. Although his guess was not very accurate, he was on the right track. When Wang Lan arrived at Zhangjiajie, a group of staff members was already busy. Each mountain peak was numbered by them, and a high-power thruster was installed on each mountain peak. Director Jean, what are you doing? Wang Lan, you're here. We've analyzed that the stone pillars of the 1,000 trick lock have to be pressed to open. Also, it has to be pressed in a fixed order. Once it's pressed wrong, it can't be opened anymore. Therefore, it can only succeed. You're planning to use the thruster to press down the mountain peak. Wang Lan asked in surprise. This was a genius idea. What kind of joke was this? Chapter 680. This is the space thruster that I found with great difficulty. Under certain circumstances, these stone pillars should be easily pressed down. Otherwise, in the ancient era without technology, even if it was a miracle to build this Tianji lock, someone would have to be able to open it, right? It seemed that Professor Yang had some misunderstanding about the ancient civilization. The lockpicking calculation review is complete. It is completely in line with the previous calculation. The accuracy of the lockpicking sequence is 97%. Only 97%. What's the difference between rounding it off and gambling? Calculate it again and perform a full analysis. You must ensure that the accuracy is above 99.5%. Yes. After working for half a day, he barely raised the accuracy to 98%. Get ready to unlock. Engine number 1 ready to ignite? Engine number 1 ready. Ignite. Professor Yang waved his fist excitedly. His ferocious expression made one think that he was shouting to fire if they didn't hear him say ignite. Boom! At the top of one of the many peaks, the engine spewed out raging flames. The soaring flames seemed to ignite the top of the mountain, and a blue sword light rose. The mountain trembled violently, and after a soft sound, a cloud of smoke and dust scattered. But soon, the trembling of the mountain stopped. No matter how much power the space engine exerted, the stone pillars didn't change. How could this be? Could it be that the order of the lock was wrong? Calculate again. Professor Yang roared angrily. The lockpicking sequence should be right. Maybe the engine's thrust is too small. Forget it, Mr. Jean. Let me try, Wang Lan said to Mr. Jean. His figure flashed to the sky above the mountain. Turn off the engine. It's a pity to break it. In a gust of wind, the engine was turned off. Wang Lan took a deep breath and channeled his star power. In an instant, the star power of heaven and earth surged from all directions like a tide. The terrifying star power condensed, changing the color of heaven and earth. The world, which was still sunny just a moment ago, was instantly covered with dark clouds. Wang Lan, be careful. Don't break the mountain, Mr. Jean shouted with his hands clasped together. Giant handprint! Wang Lan suddenly reached out his palm and pressed down on the mountain. In an instant, there was a loud bang on the mountain peak, and a clear palm print appeared at the top of the mountain. The palm print was tens of meters long and had sunk more than half a meter deep into the rock. Rumble! A loud boom rang out, and the mountain actually slowly sank into the ground amidst the rumbling. At this moment, Wang Lan truly believed that the mountains of Zhangjiajie could be pressed back to the ground. If it wasn't for the hollow space below, Wang Lan wouldn't have been able to slap the mountain back to the ground, even if he crushed it into powder. As the mountain peak was pressed into the ground meter by meter, the staff members watching from afar suddenly burst into cheers. This scene was too shocking. The scene in one's imagination was completely different from the scene in reality. The first mountain peak was pressed down, and everyone was excited. Next is number 2. Wang Lan's figure flashed, and he instantly arrived at the mountain peak with a number 2 flag. Using the same trick, he pressed down the second mountain peak. There were a total of more than 700 mountains. Even with Wang Lan's strength, pressing down on them one by one was exhausting. After 3 whole days, there was finally only one mountain peak left. This mountain was also the largest of all the stone pillar-like mountain peaks. Wang Lan's speed was obviously much slower than before. With the full output of Wang Lan's astral power, the huge mountain peak sank into the ground bit by bit, and the entire Zhangjiajie was shaking violently. Boom! With a loud bang, the entire mountain peak was pressed down. Wang Lan's figure flashed, and he appeared beside Jiang Xinyu, panting. He gently tapped his waist. It had been a long time since he had such a strong output. Everyone held their breaths and stared at the empty valley in front of them with their eyes wide open. After waiting for a few minutes, a sudden breeze swept past, and the ground suddenly trembled. With a roar, the ground began to crack. If one looked down from the sky, they would see countless cracks on the ground, and these cracks were like fish scales, accompanied by a burst of smoke and dust. Gradually, the ground in the center of the valley bulged up high. Everyone, look, what is this? A spire slowly appeared on the ground, and it kept rising and becoming bigger. This is a pyramid? The Pyramid of the East? In the blink of an eye, the entire face of the rising spire was revealed. This was the roof of a building that was at least 10 meters tall. After the spire appeared, the main body of the building below gradually emerged as well. In just a short 10 minutes, a huge building complex slowly rose from the ground in the middle of the empty plain. These buildings were all huge without exception. This is an ancient city? Professor Yang was indeed the most knowledgeable person present. After adjusting his glasses, he said in a low voice, "This is an ancient city, but the overall size is at least 10 times larger." Half an hour later, the shaking stopped. The huge city had gone through countless years, but it was still majestic and magnificent. What was even more shocking was that this city was actually installed in the Tianji Lock. Opening the Tianji Lock actually released the city. If one were to say that this was the crystallization of the ancient human civilization, it would be impossible for the current human civilization to achieve this without hundreds or thousands of years of development. Let's go and take a look. Not to mention this group of ordinary experts, even Wang Lan, who had seen heaven and the descent of God, was extremely curious and could not wait to find out what was going on. The city walls were at least 100 meters tall. How could one describe this majestic city wall? Wang Lan came to the bottom of the city wall and looked up. This height was about the same as a 35-story residential building. The city gate was also tens of meters tall and 20 to 30 meters wide. Miracle! This is really a miracle. Is this really something created by humans? Professor Yang exclaimed. The city gate was made of high-quality sago wood, and its hardness was comparable to steel. Moreover, it was extremely thick and heavy. Wang Lan pushed with all his might, but the city gate did not budge at all. After using his stellar power, the city gate finally moved slowly. After pushing open the city gate, a straight and wide road appeared in front of them. The group walked through the city gate, and the houses on both sides were also extraordinarily large. Although there was no one around, one could still imagine how prosperous this place used to be from the city's architecture. Compared to the scale of the surrounding buildings, the group of people seemed to have turned into a country of giants. The residents of the city should be between 15 and 20 meters tall. This can be seen from the height of the doors, windows, and thresholds of these houses. Are there really giants in this world? In ancient mythology, there was a witch tribe. Their bodies were huge, and they were formed from the blood of Pangu. They were extremely strong and had the power to move mountains and fill seas. Legend has it that Huzhou province was the divine land of the Lady of Earth. The Lady of Earth was born in the witch tribe. Could this be a city of the witch tribe? Since it's related to the Lady of Earth of the witch tribe, why is it a treasure left behind by Zhang Lingxian? Why can only the bloodline of the Zhang family open it? I once met the Lady of Earth. She said that after she merged with the Earth, she woke up twice. The first time was because of Zhang Lingxian. Zhang Lingxian might be the first person to find this ancient city. The ancient city was majestic, but it was empty. Other than some things that could be preserved for a long time, there was nothing else. There were no people, no clothes, no books, and no words. However, they must have an extremely special way of recording things. On the stone tablet in the center of the ancient city, there were some inscriptions. These inscriptions recorded information, but reading the information required a special method. If one read the information rashly, not only would they not obtain the information, but they might also destroy the inscriptions. Hey, everyone, look! Someone suddenly pointed into the depths of the city and shouted, "There's light over there." Everyone looked up and saw that there was indeed a light shining. Everyone hurriedly rushed to the place where the light was coming from. This was a huge square. In the center of the square, there was a huge round platform with a diameter of over 100 meters. The round platform was decorated with jewelry. Countless colorful gems were embedded in the stone slabs of the round platform. They were like white jade and glass. Under the sunlight, they reflected a gorgeous light. Wang Lan suddenly moved his feet. Everyone dispersed. Everyone hurriedly dispersed. Wang Lan waved his hand, and dust rose from the ground under his feet. A piece of text appeared under everyone's feet. The entire city was filled with inscriptions. This made Wang Lan conclude that the ancient city's residents did not know how to use words. However, he did not expect that words would appear on the mysterious round platform. After deciphering the words, everyone suddenly realized that these words were not left behind by the city's residents. They were left behind by Zhang Lingxian 2,000 years ago. Zhang Lingxian reached the immortal realm in his later years. He would often roam the void at night. He learned that in order to ascend to the immortal realm, one had to find the immortal promotion platform. Zhang Lingxian could travel through mountains and seas in an instant. He had been to all the mysterious places in search of the immortal promotion platform. Although he had found the immortal promotion platforms, they were all damaged and could not be used. One time, he came to the Zhangjiaji plain and triggered Goddess Hutu's divine sense. He learned that the immortal promotion platform could still be used. However, Goddess Hutu told him that this immortal promotion platform could only be used once, and only one person could ascend to the immortal realm. Zhang Lingxian shouted excitedly. He was the last person to ascend to the immortal realm in thousands of years. Seeing this, everyone's expressions collapsed. Although this was the immortal promotion platform, it could only allow one person to ascend to the immortal realm. Zhang Lingxian had already ascended 2,000 years ago. The immortal promotion platform was useless. Quick, protect this place. Director Jean immediately reacted and shouted. Then, he immediately reported to his superior. Wang Lan looked at the immortal promotion platform curiously. No matter how he looked at it, it did not seem to be useless. The array formed by these gems was intact. Moreover, it was clearly a charging array. It could be activated by injecting energy into it. Wang Lan tried to channel his astral power into the array. Instantly, the array lit up. Colorful lights lit up the sky. Wang Lan, what are you doing? Don't be rash. Director Jean shouted anxiously. No, this array can be activated multiple times. Wang Lan was even more certain of his guess. Sinew, stay here. Even if something happens to me and I get sent to somewhere, I can come back through the divine might space. I'll go take a look through the array. Jiang Sinew also knew that she and Wang Lan were two spatial portals. Even if they were separated by different time and space, they could meet up instantly. Jiang Sinew was a little nervous, but she was not worried. Chapter 681. Wang Lan stood on the immortal promotion plateau, the astral energy around him surging wildly. Astral energy surged within Wang Lan's body, turning Wang Lan's body into a glassy color. Suddenly, the countless gemstones beneath his feet glowed brilliantly, and a spatial ripple appeared around Wang Lan. In an instant, Wang Lan's body disappeared. Wang Lan. Jiang Xinyu's heart trembled. She hurriedly took a step forward, but there was no one on the immortal promotion plateau. Wang Lan felt his vision change, and he arrived at a hazy alternate dimension. This alternate dimension was very small, but the spiritual qi here was extremely dense. The astral energy of heaven and earth condensed into immortal fog, like dry ice evaporating and wantonly rippled in the air. Wang Lan suddenly noticed a door that seemed to be faintly discernible among the celestial clouds in the distance. He walked forward and came to a simple and unadorned door that was filled with countless cracks. Immortal Gate? Wang Lan raised his head and looked at the ancient stone carvings on the door, deep in thought. This ancient door was already very damaged. Many of the cracks were as thick as a finger, as if it was pieced together from fragments. Wang Lan didn't even dare to touch it, for fear that the door would collapse with a light touch. Could this be the reason why it can only be used once? The Immortal Promotion Plateau is easy to enter, but the Immortal Gate is damaged. Wang Lan muttered to himself. Crack! Suddenly, he seemed to have stepped on something. He squatted down and saw that it was a skeleton. The skeleton's posture was quite carefree. It leaned sideways, one hand supporting its head, and its empty eyes staring into the distance opposite the door, as if it was waiting for someone to come, or as if it was just lying down to take a nap. Looks like this is someone who came in later. Zhang Lingxian has already become an immortal, so the Immortal Gate is useless. She will be trapped in this empty space until she dies. That's where you're wrong. A voice rang out in the illusory world. Wang Lan instantly flashed and looked around vigilantly. Who is it? Who's talking? I'm right in front of you. Yet you're asking me who I am? Weren't we just looking at each other? Hearing the voice, Wang Lan's gaze fell on the skeleton in front of him. A burst of white light shone from the skeleton's body. The white light turned into light particles and rose into the air. They quickly condensed in the air and dispersed. A hazy shadow appeared in front of Wang Lan. This was a man whose hair was completely white, but he had a youthful and handsome face. It was impossible to tell his age or cultivation level. Firstly, this person is not a latecomer. Ever since the Immortal Promotion Plateau went into hiding, only 2 people have come before the Immortal Promotion Gate. One is me, and the other is you. Secondly, there is only one chance to use the Gate of Immortality. However, Zhang Lingxian had not used the Gate of Immortality. Hello, I'm Zhang Lingxian. You're Zhang Lingxian? Wang Lan sized up the virtual figure. Didn't you ascend to immortality? Why are you here? Why did you die here? Let's not talk about this for now. Let me ask you, is it good to become an immortal? Zhang Lingxian sat cross-legged and suddenly said, Don't just stand there. Come, let's sit down and talk. Of course it's good to become an immortal. However, stepping through the Immortal Promotion Gate does not mean becoming an immortal. If it's just a long journey, a journey of no return, then it's not good. So you do know. Zhang Lingxian laughed. However, do you know that in the Earth Star realm, there's a lack of longevity materials and thin spirit chi? Mortals only have 60 years of life. No matter how strong and healthy we cultivators are, we can only live for 260 years at most. Of course, I know that. Then do you know that in the cultivation world, the place you mentioned for the long journey, there are more advanced techniques, abundant spirit chi, and longevity materials? As long as you have the opportunity, you have the chance to break through the limits of the fate wheel and live longer. 300 years, 500 years, or even 1,000 years. Although you may feel that it's not enough when you reach the end of your life, so what? At least you've lived forever. Really? Wang Lan was shocked. He thought that the cultivation world was in the Magellan Galaxy and was the same as the heavenly blue planet. However, after hearing what Zhang Lingxian said, it was indeed a good place. Of course I won't lie. Then why did you stay here? Shouldn't you have crossed the immortal gate a long time ago? Do you think I want to be trapped in this space? Zhongling Xian was furious. Do you know how difficult it is to resist the temptation of crossing the immortal gate and reaching the immortal realm? The immortal realm is right in front of you. Once you cross it, you can pursue longevity. However, I have no way out. However, I was trapped here until I died of starvation, thirst, and loneliness. During that time, I couldn't help but want to cross it countless times, really. However, every time I stretched my foot out, I had to retract it. That kind of suffering, that kind of torture, almost drove me crazy. Why? Because after coming here, I saw the river of destiny. In the river of destiny, I intercepted a message of destiny. I wasn't the one destined to cross the immortal gate. Every kind of destiny isn't fixed. There are choices. Different choices determine different kinds of destinies. If I had crossed it back then, the passage between the human world and the cultivation world would have been completely severed. Humans would have been imprisoned in the Milky Way forever. This is the destiny that I bear. I bear the fate of cutting off the human world's path of survival. As long as I crossed it, I would be free. However, humans would be trapped forever. The second person to come here would bear a different kind of mission. He would become the bridge between humans and the cultivation world. Humans would completely break free from the shackles of the Milky Way. Their future journey would be in the sea of stars. Ha! What did I, Zhongling Xian, do to deserve this? I actually bear the fate of the human race. I can live and die with a thought. I should have been more selfish. As the saying goes, after I die, I don't care what happens. Even if I chose to cross the immortal gate, humans wouldn't know that their destinies have been secretly sealed. Ha ha! But why was I so stupid back then? I actually starved to death here. Before I died, I finally comprehended the ghost Tao. I separated my spirit and stored it in my corpse. I just couldn't accept it. I wanted to see what the person who made the second choice for humans looked like. What kind of hero was he? Wang Lan's eyes flickered. He was a little shocked. He didn't expect that the fate of humans had always been in the control of fate. If someone else had said this to him, Wang Lan would have scoffed. However, he didn't doubt Zhongling Xian at all. Back then, the king of Jiangshan also intercepted a trace of fate and sealed himself in the origin stone. He waited for a few hundred years to live another life. As a matter of fact, he had indeed reincarnated, even though that reincarnation was very short. However, if the king of Jiangshan didn't fight back then, he could have lived for a long time. Moreover, what Zhongling Xian said was also the truth. Wang Lan had divine power and a completely independent space. He could indeed use divine power to become the bridge between the blue planet and the cultivation world. People from the Earth immortal realm could go to the human realm through him. People from a human realm could go to the Earth immortal realm through him. After digesting what he heard, Wang Lan slowly raised his head and looked at Zhongling Xian. Do you regret it? Yes, I regret not listening to Goddess Huda's advice and stepping into this void. Now that I'm here, I have no way out. I can either step through the immortal gate or die here. Wang Lan slowly stood up and bowed to Zhongling Xian. Mr. Zhang, you're so righteous. Don't play dumb. You've made me wait for 2,000 years. 2,000 years. Now that I've seen you and fulfilled my wish, it's time for me to return to the netherworld. Senior, can't you live forever after cultivating the ghost Tao? What's the ghost Tao? It's just a ghost. Can ghosts still stay in the Yang realm? Since you fulfilled your wish, why don't you hurry and report to the netherworld? Zhongling Xian stood up and flicked her sleeves. Right, why aren't you leaving? After this gate, you'll reach the immortal realm. I've sacrificed so much for the human race. When I reincarnate, you have to make it up to me. Me? How can I make it up to you? You're so young, but your strength is already extraordinary. You must be the son of destiny. When you enter the immortal realm, you'll definitely become a hero. When you find me, I'll take a loss and reluctantly become your disciple. How about that? Are you sure this is a loss? I, Zhongling Xian, am extremely talented and look down on everyone. Since ancient times, How many people have broken through the boundaries of the human and mortal world with their own strength? You'll benefit greatly if you take me as your disciple. Okay? Wang Lan hesitated for a moment and nodded silently. Although I didn't believe in reincarnation in the past, I've seen Goddess Huda before, so there's nothing I can't accept. How can I find you after you reincarnate? There are two characteristics. First, I'll have a piece of jade in my mouth. Second, I can eat a lot. Eat a lot? Wang Lan's eyes widened. He couldn't keep up with this senior's pace. Nonsense, I starved to death. In the ghost Tao, I'm a hungry ghost. Have you heard of the reincarnation of a hungry ghost? That's reasonable. That's the condition. Please, Zhongling Xian said as she pointed at the Immortal Ascension Gate. I came in a hurry and haven't told my family. I have to go back and tell them. It seems like you still don't understand what I said just now. I just said that this is a sealed space. You can either pass through the Immortal Ascension Gate or be trapped here until you die. Go back and tell them. Tell them what? If I can leave this place, I won't starve to death here. We're different. Senior Zhang, I'll take my leave first. I'll come back when I'm ready. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Lan's body started to twist and distort. His body also disappeared rapidly in the distorted ripples. Seeing Wang Lan disappear, Zhang Lingxian's mouth was wide open. She couldn't close it for a long time. In Zhangjiji, beside the Immortal Ascension Plateau in the ancient city, a group of high-level officials had arrived. There were even the 5 Thearchs and the others. Jiang Xinyu looked at the Immortal Ascension Plateau anxiously. Almost 2 hours had passed. Even if you want to take a look, he should have returned long ago. However, Jiang Xinyu couldn't use the divine might to go to Wang Lan's place to take a look. If she went, the two of them wouldn't be able to return. Suddenly, the divine might's space trembled slightly. Jiang Xinyu's face lit up with joy. She opened her left eye. In her left eye, a windmill spun rapidly. The space in front of her distorted. Wang Lan's figure appeared in front of Jiang Xinyu. Wang Lan, you're back. How is it? Is it the immortal realm? The records are correct. It can only allow one person to become an immortal. The Immortal Ascension Plateau isn't damaged, but the Immortal Ascension Gate can only be opened once. Is that so? The big shots who gathered around all looked disappointed. Since it could only be used once, it had obviously been used up by Zhang Lingxian. Chapter 682. However, Zhang Lingxian did not use this one and only chance. Instead, she waited outside the door of Immortal Ascension for the second person to arrive. What does that mean? It's not convenient to explain it here. Let's find somewhere else. Seeing Wang Lan's serious expression, the leader's expressions also became serious. Please enter the divine space first. I'll bring everyone to the capital. This matter needs to be discussed with number 1 and the other elders. Okay. Number 3 nodded and walked into Wang Lan's divine space. Capital, Forbidden City. In the highest cabinet meeting sat the military, the cabinet, the 5 emperors Wang Lan, Jiang Xinyu, and the others. These people all held the highest authority in the country. Wang Lan briefly explained what he had learned from Zhang Lingxian's soul after he stepped onto the Immortal Ascension Plateau and met her at the door of Immortal Ascension. So, only one person can enter the Immortal Ascension realm. After that, the door of Immortal Ascension can no longer be used. And this person can only be Wang Lan? That's right. Only I can build a bridge between the Immortal Ascension realm and the Immortal Ascension realm. People from the Immortal Ascension realm can also come to Sky Blue Planet through me. Except, Wang Lan said and looked at Jiang Xinyu, who was sitting at the side with a gloomy expression. Everyone could go to the Earthstar realm except for Jiang Xinyu. There were 2 divine kaleidoscopes. One had to be in the Immortal Ascension realm and the other in Sky Blue Planet. 2 people who loved each other could contact each other but could never see each other again. What a cruel thing to do. Even though the leaders present knew that this was the best moment for human civilization and that this was a step that would only bring benefits and no harm, they could not come to any conclusions before they thought about the 2 of them. I only have one request. Jiang Xinyu suddenly stood up and said, Wait, Wang Lan suddenly stopped her. Sinew, I have something to say to you in private. As they spoke, their divine might began to revolve at the same time. With a burst of spatial distortion, the two of them appeared in the divine might space. In the god might space, Zhang Xianchao had just brewed a pot of tea and was elegantly bringing the teacup to his nose. Clang! A loud sound rang out. The figures of Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu appeared, and the coffee table exploded. It seemed that the position of the coffee table was not right. Jiang Xinyu's face was very ugly, and her eyes were filled with tears. Zhang Xianchao curiously looked at the two of them. Although she had always been locked in the divine might space, Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu were frequent visitors to the divine might space. They had never quarreled before. Did they quarrel? All right, I know you want to cry and get angry, but can you listen to my explanation first? We are Takashi Hoshi. I understand all the principles. Jiang Xinyu coldly said, and turned her back to Wang Lan. You know, the key to the divine might space is only you and me, so one of the two Sharingans must be in Sky Blue Planet and the other in the cultivation world. This is for the future of humanity, and also for the unification of humanity. Stop talking. I understand. So, I told you to stop talking. Jiang Xinyu covered her ears and screamed to interrupt Wang Lan's words. Can't you wait for me to finish speaking before shouting? Wang Lan frowned and said coldly, All right, go ahead, but I don't want to hear about the future of humanity. For the greater good of the world, we must know how to sacrifice. I don't want to talk about this. I just want to say that the key to the divine might space is the two Sharingans, not me, Wang Lan, and not you, Jiang Xinyu. Jiang Xinyu still had tears in her eyes as she looked at Wang Lan. These words made Jiang Xinyu's brain go blank, but she was once a top student, so she immediately understood Wang Lan's words. You mean the key is the Sharingan, not us? My Sharingan was given to me by you, so we can use the same method to give it to others? So we don't have to be separated? No, the one who can give it to others is you, and I can only give one Sharingan, not a second one, so only I can go. So I can give my Sharingan to others? So I can go to the Earth God realm with you? Yes. Now are you still angry? Wang Lan teasingly reached out and lifted Jiang Xinyu's chin. She looked at Jiang Xinyu's smiling face and asked softly, You're so annoying. Jiang Xinyu quickly wiped away her tears and hammered Wang Lan's chest a few times. But this secret can only be known by you and me. Why? Because other people can't make me 100% trust them, and you can't let anyone know that your Sharingan can be transferred to others. I love and trust human beings, but I also understand humans' bad habits and what human beings will do for their own benefit. When I stepped into the gate of heaven, your Sharingan will be the only channel, and whoever has the Sharingan will have the only communication between the cultivation world and the Sky Blue Planet. What kind of benefit is this? Not to mention other countries. Even the Jade State has many people eyeing it covetously. If they know that the Sharingan can be transferred, how many hidden dangers will there be? In order to fight for the Sharingan, won't people become demons? Then, I can't let a second person know. What if I miss you? Can we still never see each other? Then you must find someone you can absolutely trust, someone who will never reveal the secret. When you miss me, take advantage of the night and give the Sharingan to him. Let him open the Sharingan and send you to me, and then take back the Sharingan the next morning. Remember, the power of the Sharingan can only be replenished by you and me. Anyone who obtains the Sharingan will continue to use it until they completely lose their sight. The person you're talking about, I suddenly have an idea. Jiang Xinyu suddenly said with a sly smile on her face. Huh? So hasty? CSCC hasty. Jiang Xinyu suddenly whispered in Wang Lan's ear. You bastard, you're lucky. As soon as these words came out, Wang Lan suddenly felt like he was struck by lightning. Cold sweat instantly overflowed, and his back was cold. Let's go. Don't keep the big bosses waiting. Jiang Xinyu stretched out her slender jade finger and pointed at Wang Lan's forehead. In the conference room, the big bosses were still fiercely discussing. I believe that Comrade Jiang Xinyu and Comrade Wang Lan are deeply principled compared to the interests of the whole human race. the interests of the whole nation are insignificant. Everyone knows the big principles, but the most difficult thing in the world is to be separated by life and death. Once Wang Lan goes to the world of cultivation, it means that there is no possibility for the two of them to meet again. This is the cruelest separation in the world. Interstellar travel is unrealistic, and the Milky Way is sealed. In theory, we can never leave the Milky Way. What a pity! Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu have contributed a lot to the Jade State and the human civilization. Suddenly, there was a distortion in the void, and Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu's figures appeared from the void. In the conference room, the big bosses stopped talking to each other. They all looked at Jiang Xinyu and Wang Lan eagerly. Wang Lan's face was very gloomy, and Jiang Xinyu looked as if she had lost her soul. One look at them, and they couldn't help but feel sad. Wang Lan and I have discussed it, and we have reached an agreement. Jiang Xinyu took the lead and said indifferently, "But I have a request. I hope that before Wang Lan goes to the world of cultivation, we will get married." "Of course, that's not a problem. Your wedding will be arranged by the state." "There's no need for that. I hope that our wedding will be held in the ordinary way, according to the way we like. As long as you are happy." Of course, the big bosses welcomed this request with open arms. Moreover, the thoughtful ones also analyzed the reason Jiang Xinyu made this request. She didn't want to leave any regrets for the rest of her life. Although it was already destined that she would have regrets, she couldn't leave too many regrets behind. General Wang Lan, the world-class legendary hero who had saved the human civilization many times, was about to marry his girlfriend, Jiang Xinyu. This news instantly exploded all over the world like a bomb. Wang Lan's popularity had spread all over the world after the battle with Liu Shi. He had truly achieved a feat that no longer belonged to the Jade State, but to the entire human race. This news soared to the top of the hot search list in just 1 minute, and not only in the Jade State, but also in the world. The news of Wang Lan's marriage was so sudden, but it was also so natural. Ever since Wang Lan appeared in the public eye, there had always been a woman by his side. This woman was Wang Lan's childhood sweetheart's girlfriend. How much dog food had they spread during their 4 years in college? Many people were surprised that Wang Lan was getting married. Many foreign girls lamented that they had just promoted Wang Lan to the throne of Prince Charming. Why did he suddenly get married and make them all fall out of love? However, the seniors of Cebu Gakuen in Shanghai all sighed in unison. "You are finally getting married." The wedding date was not far away. It was 12 days after the announcement. During these 12 days, almost all the Takashi Hoshi followers of the Yin Emperor tried their best to put down their work and prepare for the wedding in advance. The leaders and experts of various countries also tried their best to arrange their own time. In this world, Wang Lan was probably the only person who could make the entire world revolve around her wedding. Wang Lan's groomsmen were very shabby. One of them was Su Xiangwen, and the other was Gong Feiyu. Most people didn't even know the names of these two men. However, Jiang Xinyu's bridesmaids were luxurious. Other than Xie, there was also Princess Yu Riyun of the Jade State, Princess El of the Ice and Snow Nation, and Saintess Yulia of the Holy Nation. If it weren't for the fact that Yulia's public identity was only the Saintess of the Holy Nation, and if the whole world knew that Yulia's true identity was the only god of the Earth star realm, a god who had been resurrected, the whole world would probably go crazy. Can you imagine the scene of a god wearing a bridesmaid's dress? Even so, Yulia's identity as the Saintess of the Holy Nation and Jiang Xinyu's bridesmaid had already attracted everyone's attention. Since the beginning of time, which woman had received such a prestigious treatment? It was not an exaggeration to say that this was the first wedding in history. In the holy music of heaven, Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu made a promise and kissed passionately. A flash of light fell, and the moment the camera clicked, this moment was recorded in human history. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.